Hi everyone, I'm Professor Lau from Department of Parasitology, University of Malaya. Today's lecture is on plagiarism. Let us look at first the definition of plagiarism. The word plagiarism comes from a Latin word meaning kidnapper. So plagiarism is a way of presenting the words, the ideas, images, sounds, or any creative expressions of others as your own. So it is taking someone else's work as your own. It is a form of cheating. So it is considered a violation of academic integrity and a breach of journalistic ethics. There are many types of plagiarisms. In this slide here, I'm showing you 4 types of plagiarism. If you look at other websites, there may be more type of plagiarism, but overall, they are subcategorized into these 4. First is self-plagiarism, where you copy your own words without citing. It is very often that authors always use their own research study, for example, in another papers. So sometimes they forgot to cite their own papers. Sometimes they thought that it will not be picked up. Actually, self-plagiarism is a type of plagiarism. It can be picked up by any plagiarism software like Turnitin as well. So remember to cite your own word, even though it is originally from you, but you still need to cite it if it has been published somewhere else. Second type is the mosaic plagiarisms. In mosaic plagiarisms, usually authors are rephrasing or rearranging or paraphrase another person's words. It describes a process of loosely rearranging or restating another person's words as your own words, and usually it will be more obvious if it's without citations. Paraphrasing, even with citations, sometimes is considered plagiarism if the text is too close to the original words. So even with proper citations, if you don't change the words too much, it will be considered plagiarism. So if you have no choice but to use some wording originally from the original authors, you must use a quotation marks, okay? Quotation marks to cite it. If not, just try to paraphrase as much as possible, okay? Use your own words completely. Preferably you use your own word completely. Okay, and then you should cite the source. Okay, the third type of plagiarism is called batch word plagiarisms. So it is a way of piecing together a few contents to form something new. So it is like assembling a few original contents, rearranging them, simply just rearranging them and form your own paragraph. Sometimes it involves some paraphrasing as well in this kind of patchwork plagiarisms. So usually it is just rearranging the wordings. This is called patchwork plagiarisms. So even with proper citations, it can be still picked up as a plagiarism. The last type is accidental plagiarisms. As it sounds like it is a plagiarism that's not intentional. However, in academia, when students have to learn how to properly cite others' words, even an accidental plagiarism is considered a big deal. So you shouldn't do it. So even though there is no ill intent from the student, most schools will have policies explicitly treating accidental plagiarism the same as intentional plagiarisms. So the students are expected to know how to properly cite or credit other authors' work. I will give you a few examples in the few slides later. You may be confused with mosaic plagiarism and versus patchwork plagiarisms. Here's examples of mosaic plagiarism, where paraphrasing is used to reinstate the meaning of the text, a text or passage, using other words or even shorten it. This is the example here, given here. Originally, it is, my mama always say life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you are going to get. I'm sure you all know where this is from originally. So people may rephrase it or paraphrase it to, my mom always said life was a box of chocolates. You don't know what you will get. It looks very much similar to the original text. It's just a few words difference. So this is paraphrase. However, this is not cited. So this is considered plagiarism. Just be careful, even though you change a few words here and there, it still looks very much like original text. So you need to make it the changes more obvious. Otherwise, you use a quotation marks and then cites the original reference. Here is an example of patchwork plagiarisms. Patchwork plagiarism can involve multiple sources, or sometimes it could be from one source. Usually involve a bigger paragraph as shown in these examples. So below are 3 quotes related to the same topic, giraffe populations. So the text that we'll use in the plagiarism examples is in bold here. So look at these 3 sources, and now take a look at how someone might use patchwork plagiarism with these 3 sources, and it will form a paragraph as such here. So the words that were plagiarized are in bold. So even though from the original 3 sources it has been shortened to just 1 paragraph here, but it is without proper citations, and there's no attempt to use quotation marks to show that words come directly from the original source. Okay, for example, here research shows that population numbers are increasing. It is direct copy paste. Okay, so some rare good news, it is from this source, and just over 17,000 individuals were also plagiarized directly, and the overall number is still small, was originally from this source. So this is considered patchwork plagiarisms because there's no citations and the words are copied words by words. So you have to avoid plagiarism as such. The consequences of plagiarism are very severe. It will include disciplinary actions, suspensions from school or dismissal, or your degrees may be revoked, and you may have failed grades or 0 marks in that assignments. And for academia, it will consider, you may have to consider resign from your academic positions. Plagiarism is taken very seriously in all university and even the actual world. So treat yourself as totally separate author than your past self and other authors. So be sure to include all relevant citations and quotations, the same as you would for any other source. So remember to cite the original articles. So how to avoid it? These are the 3 ways that you should pay attention. First, always use a quote. If you're taking the exact words, copy word for words from the original authors. So quotations must be cited. Put any unique words or phrases that you cannot change or do not want to change in quotation marks. So use quotation marks often if you have to copy words by words. Secondly, if you just want to rephrase or want to still use some original ideas from others, first write your own paraphrase. I would suggest you to write your own paraphrase at the beginning, and then summarize again looking at your own paraphrase without looking at the original text. And you just rely on your own memories and then write your own sentences again from there. That's how you avoid paraphrasings, plagiarisms. So if you have no choice but to use some other people's words or ideas in your own words, use it very minimally and cite the original articles. So after that, check again with your versions compared to the original to check for the accuracy and to check whether you have accidentally used too many phrases. Okay, so try as much as possible to use your own voice. Lastly, of course, do not cut and paste. Do not cut and paste from any resources unless you have to use a quotation marks. So when in doubt, always use citations. There's nothing wrong to use many citations as long as you know the original sources. You have to cite the source. As mentioned in the previous slide, if you have to use words by words from an articles, you have to know how to quote it as well. So for direct quoting, for direct quotations, make sure you include page number as well. Beside the authors and the year, you have to include the page numbers to properly quote someone else's words. Punctuation marks such as periods or commas are placed after the citations, okay, not within the quotation marks. See example here. So this is from Darwin, 1859, which stated natural selection acts solely by accumulating slight successive variable variations. It can only act only on very short and slow steps. So do not put a full stop here. Okay, full stop have to be placed after you close the quotation marks and you write the page number, and then only you add the full stop here. Okay, if the source is only from one page, then you put p dot. If it spans a page range, a few pages, then you use pp dots. Right? So this is one example of how to cite text that is originally copied words by words. There's another way to do it is just to form a full sentence and close the quotation marks, and then you cite the source. Darwin, 1859, page dot 510, and then close it. Or else you can also do it in this way as shown in the examples. You just say Darwin say some things, and then you put the quotations, and then you add the page number at the end. This table here summarizes that what I have mentioned just now. So the readers will see a citations and a quotation marks if you have copied these exact words of the original authors, and the readers will see the citations without the quotation marks if you have rephrased and summarized using your own words in your writings. And no citation or no quotation marks are needed if the passage is your own ideas or it is interpretations expressed in your own words. So in this case, you do not need to cite or quote. So what is the acceptable range of plagiarism is allowed? Actually, there's no universal range, but the widely acceptable percentage is about 15% of similarity with the previous work. So before you submit a publications for a paper publications, make sure you check with the publishers how many percent of plagiarism is allowed. Some journals accept range about 20%, some about 25%. So it varies. Same thing with thesis writings. Different institutes allow different percentage of plagiarisms. So in University of Malaya, we allow 10 to 30% of similarity with previous works. Anything above 30% is not allowed, and you are not allowed to submit your thesis if it is above 30%. So there is a software used by University of Malaya called Turnitin. to check the percentage of plagiarisms which all the students are required to use it before you submit your thesis. So this applies to all other writings as well in University of Malaya, including reports writings or any other short projects writings and things like that. Here are a few references that you can refer to if you would like to know more about plagiarisms. And I have also included the postgraduate student handbooks here that you can look into it. And this is the Turnitin website that you can use to check percentage of similarity of your writing with the published work. After these presentations, the postdoc will going to show you how to use this Turnitin to check any work that you need to submit. This is a screenshot of what the report looks like after you submit your writing to Turnitin. So in the report, it will show you a summary of which part of your writing is actually similar to the published data. So it will also show you the percentage of similarity between your writing and the published data and referring to which published resources. So you can refer to here in order to check your works similarity with others' works. So from here, from this report, if your percentage is more than the desired percentage, then you have to refer to these reports on all these highlighted areas. Try to reface it and try to avoid the percentage of similarity with other words as much as possible. So in Turnitin, you can also filter out the references. So in your thesis or your article writings, usually we'll list out all the references used in your writings at the end of the paper writings. So in this case, it will be picked up as plagiarism because the references listed is listed everywhere. So it will be picked up as some sort of similarity with other published papers. So it is wise if you could exclude that for your Turnitin. And there's also a function to exclude quotations, quotes used in your text, but usually we do not include that in your reports because it's very rare you use the quotations, and quotation usually is just 1 or 2 words, so it will not affect much of your percentage. There is also a way to exclude those references that you want to exclude, and in this case you need to be very careful. Only exclude those words that is not really published in a website or in a wider audience. Some of these references, they are actually your own works, but it is not really published. It is within University of Malaya, or sometimes this kind of resources is also generated by Turnitin itself. When you have submitted your report for Turnitin checking, it may appear in your Turnitin accounts and it pick up as similarities. In this case, you can actually exclude those references. So that's the end of my presentation for today. So as I mentioned just now, I hope you learned something more useful by hands-on trying to submit a report in Turnitin and see whether you can actually get the result from using the apps. All the best. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can always email me. It is very interesting. Plagiarism happens very often in the real life as well. These are a few examples. You just click on the links over here. You can see a few real life examples where plagiarism happens sometimes without us realizing it. Just look at it. It is a pretty interesting example given here. So this is the last slide from me. We will continue with Dr. Lai showing you some of the examples of plagiarisms and some activities. Enjoy your sessions.